Hello again. This is preparation for Google Certified Educator Level 1. This is session 10. Take a moment, please register at the URL you see on the screen, or as always, you can scan the QR code you see right there. My name is Brett Petrillo. I am, in fact, a Google Certified Educator as well as a Google Certified Trainer. You can catch me on Twitter at Brett Petrillo. You can also find me on my website, brettpetrillo.com. This entire series is about prepping you to become a Google Certified Educator Level 1, which is the first level of training. Afterwards, you'll have to take the Google Certified Educator Level 1 exam. This exam costs $10, but when you pass it, you get to use this badge you see right here on your screen. You can put it in your signature, on your web page, on your blog, wherever you want to display the fact that you have the skills that it takes to be Google certified. You can register for the exam here at edutrainingcenter.withgoogle.com, and there's all sorts of training material here for you. I keep recommending it every screencast that I put on here. I keep recommending that you go to this website. There's tons there. Please check it out. You will be thankful. All right, last week we took a look at Google Groups and we learned how to create a group. We took a look at how to control the permissions of the group and how to add members and how to communicate with that group via email. We also got into YouTube, looking at searching YouTube and the ins and outs of playlists and channels. Also, we took a look at how we can share content in a variety of ways, as well as all the resources available to us through YouTube EDU. And we also did explore creating content. This session number 10, we're going to get into Google Sites. We're going to learn how to create a site, how to customize our site, how to add elements to the site, and adjust the permissions. We will also look at the new sites versus the old sites and how you can still get to both. This is very important since there may be questions on the exam relating to the old version of sites, or as Google says, the classic version. We'll also take a look at Google Keep and how we can manage our lists, how we can add notes and manage those notes, and how we can get that Chrome extension that makes everything so easy with Google Keep. So let's get started. All right, before we get into creating a new site, there's something that we need to discuss. This site that you see now on your screen is sites.google.com. If I create a site from here by hitting the create button, it will create a classic version of the sites, or the old version of Google Sites. I also have the option here down at the bottom underneath to go to new Google Sites. So if I go to sites.google.com and I want to create a new version of a Google site, I can do it here, or I can go up to the red button and create a classic version. So at sites.google.com, you can create both types. If I go to my Google Drive and I click underneath New and down underneath More right there, you see that I have the option of creating a site right from Drive. It's important to note, however, that this site that you're seeing, or this option that you're seeing right now, will only create a new Google site, not the classic kind. So you are not able to create a classic Google site from the Google Drive. All right, so these are things that could potentially pop up on the exam. There may be questions about the classic sites, and you'll need to know how to get there to navigate that. So one last time, if you go to sites.google.com, you are able to create a classic site by hitting the Create button. You can also navigate to the new Google Sites from this page. But if you choose to create your site from the Drive, it will only allow you to create a new version of Google Sites. All right, to get you started here, we're going to create a site from the Drive. So this will be a new version of Google Sites. So I'm gonna, like I did before, I'm gonna go into New. I'm gonna scroll down to Google Sites underneath More. When I click on that, it gives me a brand new blank Google site from which I can work. So here we have it opened up, and it's as simple as that. Now you see it's quite simple, and it follows a similar format to other Google apps. We have our site is untitled, and if we just click on that, we can give it a title. And when I click off of that, you'll notice that the title appears right to the left of my site as well. And just a little bit of navigating around here. We have arrows going back and forward. This little eyeball is the preview button, and that will open up a new tab so that we are able to see our site the way a visitor would see it. Here we have adding editors, and I'll go over that a little bit later on with some sharing permissions. Now, publishing is what you need to do in order to make your site visible to everybody on the web, and I will go over that as well a little bit later on. The snowman, as we know, gives us some more options. We can take a look or set up some site analytics. We can send feedback to the folks at Google if we have something to say, and we can get help. And if we need a bit of a tour, we can click that as well. But this is what I'm going to do as this video rolls along. So it's quite bare bones here. There's not a lot to it at first, but I'm going to show us how to customize as we move along. As I'm floating my cursor over the screen here, you see that certain squares or pop-ups show up as I get close to them. So, for example, down here, when I hover over my header, you see that I can change the image in the header. By clicking this arrow right there, I can customize the header by uploading an image or selecting an image to use as the background image of my header. So I have complete control over what image is represented in the header of my website that I'm creating. Also, you see next to it, I can change the type of header that you're seeing. Right now, it's on banner mode. On the left side, you can see I can have a large banner mode, and what that does is just give me more space for the banner, or if I'm putting in an image in there, it would be a larger image. Or on the right side here, you see that I can choose to have just the title. And what that would do is take away the background altogether and just give me the title of the page right there. So you can choose, but you have some ability to customize right there. You also have over here on the right side, you have a tab called Themes. When you click on Themes, you have the ability to customize the look and feel of your website. Now, Google doesn't have a ton of themes that they've put in here, but they do look pretty good. If you take a look, for example, at Diplomat here, when I click on that, it gives you the general color palette that the theme is using. You can see that the background here is the color that is checked. If I want to switch that up, I have complete control over that. And part of the theme is the font of the title, and you can see that the box or the framing of the title of your page as well. If I want to change the theme a little bit, I can choose my own colors, and go from there. And again, if you know the specific hex code of a color, then you can put that in there if you choose. You can also choose from classic, light, and heavy what type of font you want, okay? Now this right now is showing it on the main title of the main page, but it will affect other pages as well, and I will show you a little bit later on how to add pages to the website. But this theme is affecting the website throughout. You can choose any theme you want, but it is a quick and easy way to customize your website and help to have it have that look and feel that you're looking for. Another way to customize is by hovering over an element. Now you see I'm hovering over the title right there. When I click on that, I get some more options. See these arrows on the right and the left sides? If I click down on that and drag it, I can actually adjust the size of that element. Now, in this case, the element is the title, but it will also work with other elements, and I'll show you that as we start inserting things into the website. I also have the ability to modify the text, so I can have it as a title or a heading or a subheading, and it would change the size of the text that you're seeing. So back to title, or just normal is just real small, but if it's a title, then I'll keep it as a title. I can have it centered, just like in a normal text box. I can add links to that text, or I can just trash it all together. So I get that all by clicking on the element. When I hover over it again, it shows up, and click to edit or make those customizations on elements that you're putting into your website. All right, I keep referring to elements in the site that we're creating, and I did refer to this title being an element, and we know it why when we hover over it. But we have all sorts of things that we can insert into our new Google site, and we're just going to head up here to where it says Insert, and you can see I have all of these options here. I can insert a text box, which is actually what this title page is. It is a text box. I can insert images. I can embed a URL from another website, or I can upload from the computer. Before I move on to the rest of our list, just let me demonstrate how this works. So if I was inserting a text box, all I would do is click on it, and then it automatically inserts a text box right underneath the first section that was provided to us when we created the site. Now you can see I have those circles on the left and the right side, which means that I can adjust the size. And notice when I do adjust the size, I get these grid lines that appear to help me in the measurement of my text box. I have the same options here with normal text, title, subheading, but I also have some other options with my text where I can make it bold or italic. I can left, center, or right, or justify the alignment. I can create a list by hitting the number right there, or a bulleted list. I can as well create links, and I have some more options there where I can put in some code or strike through, or I can clear the formatting altogether. So I get a lot of options with how this box is going to treat my text. I also want to point out over here, since I created a new section, I have the ability to trash that section altogether, and I also have the ability to modify the background color. If I hit this right there, the little color palette, I get the regular background, which is what it is now, emphasis 1, which is a little bit gray, emphasis 2, based on this theme, is red in color, just like the underline in the title, or I can insert an image of my choosing, and when I do that, I can upload it, or I can select, And when I do that, the Google Select Image window pops up, and I can get it from the gallery, from a URL. I can search the web for it, or my drive and my albums. So I can do that, and that can be the background of that section. So you can see where you have now some options with background. It doesn't just have to be this regular white. You can get a bit more creative there. You also have a lot of options with the sizing and even the location of your text box or your element. So notice how I head over here, right in the center of the text box, there's these dots. If I hover over it, I get my multi-directional arrow, which means that if I click down, I can hold and I can take my text box anywhere in that section. All right, I can have it centered if I wish, just like that, and it gives me the guide as well to tell me that it is centered, or I can move it all the way to the left or right. So I'm going to center it right there, and when I type in my text box, the section will automatically get larger with my text. So I'm just going to hit enter a few times to show you that the section changes in size based on the text that is in the box. So that's my text box right there. But let's say I want to insert an image right next to it in this red space right next to the text box I've put in there. So I'm going to go on up here and I'm going to insert an image. And it'll give me the choice to have a URL right there, or I can search the web again. I can go to my albums, or I can take it from my drive. So let's search here for the word happy. And it's labeled for commercial reuse with modification, which is great. And I'm just going to choose maybe this little happy face right there and hit select. Now notice that it puts it underneath where I want it to be. I kind of wanted it to be up here in the red section, but it puts it automatically down there in a new section. Well, don't fear or don't fret, because I can click down on that and I can drag it up into that section that I wanted it in, just like that. I can also click on the image and resize it to better fit what I'm wishing to do. It's completely up to you and the images that you're choosing. But you can insert different elements into the same section that you've created. All right, the same works for the URL embed and uploading components. Now, if you go down here, you'll notice I have components, and there's only one that I have a choice of, and this is a simple divider. When I click on that, it inserts a divider right underneath. And in this theme, the divider is white on red, but if the section in front of it or above it is white, well then it is a red divider on white. But all of those options change with the theme and depending on what you have done. So there is your simple divider. You can also embed YouTube videos right into your website. And when I click on that, you see that I can search YouTube for videos, or I can click on uploaded. And if I was to search my name, for example, you would get my channel and some different videos. Now, I just want to choose one to demonstrate what you can do with a video. This is session number 1 from a while ago about Chrome. Let's select that one. And you can see that it inserts the video link right there. And just like the image, I can move it around. I can place it where I want in the different sections that I have. I can also click on it and adjust the sizing. So if I want to make it nice and big, I can do that. And no problem. I can insert a calendar from Google Calendar so that the viewers of my website would be able to see different events that I've allowed them to see on that calendar. And I can put in a map right from Google Maps. Now down here I have the Google Docs section. I can insert documents or slideshows or Google Sheets or a form and charts, all from the Drive, all from Google. I can insert those onto the website as well. So there you have it, a lot of choice as far as what you're able to insert into your website. Combine that with the customization and you can get pretty creative with what your website looks like and the content that you're providing. Before we move on from adding elements to our website, I want to point out our third option up here that we hadn't talked about, which is pages. Now, if I click on pages, you see that I only have one page in my website, and that is the home page that you see right now. And this is the editing mode, but this is the home page. If I want to add a page, I would just click this button right there that says Add Page, or if I hover over home, I can click these three dots right there that show up when I hover over, and I can go to duplicate page, rename page, or create a sub page. What a sub page does is creates a page that resides underneath that page in a drop-down menu. And I'll demonstrate what that means in a second. So you can do that this way, or just by clicking the Add Page button. It'll ask you for a page name, and then you hit Done, and then you can see that I have this new page set up right there. And up in my menu, I have Home and New Page. Now, if I click on Home, I'm taken back to that first screen that we were working on, and I have Home and New Page. Neither one of these are sub pages. They are their page, the main page on their own. If I wanted to create a sub page, like I said, I could go here and create a sub page underneath that main page, or I can create a sub page from a page that already exists by clicking on that page right over here until you can move it around, and hovering up over home, the bottom part of home, you can see that that blue line appears underneath the home page right there. And that means that if I drop the button right now, if I drop it in there, it will automatically become a sub page. And I'll do that just like this. So you see now I have this little arrow right there, these little dots showing up. New page has become a sub page of home. And you'll notice over here as well that the drop down for home is new page. So home would be the parent page and new page would be the sub page there. So that is how you add pages to your website in the new Google Sites. All right, we have now added elements to our demonstration website here. We also have some areas of permissions that we need to discuss. And up here, I referred to it earlier, but we can add editors. So we can add people that are able to open up the website and work on it and change things and add elements as well. So if I click on that button right there, you see that right now mine is set to private. However, I can change this. Just like in other Google apps, I can make it public on the web. Anyone with the link, or anyone within my domain, or anybody in the domain with the link, or off specific people. That is specifically for link sharing. All right, so if I was to change these options, I could then have a whole variety of people able to edit or make changes to my web page, and in essence they would be acting as a co-author of the web page. I'm going to leave it for now as only specific people, and I'm going to hit save right there. Now if it's only specific people, I can also invite people down here by email address, and I can have the choice to send myself a copy of that email as well, and then I can change the permissions as far as if they're able to edit or not, but this is how I would do it. So if I want 1 or 2 or 3 more people to be editors on my website, I can just add their names right there. So there's the first level of permissions. The second layer is right here under publish. Now to this point, we haven't published it, so it's not out there for the world to see. But if I hit publish, you see that this window pops up and it restricts who I can allow visit my website. So right now, anyone within my domain can visit. If I change it to anyone on the web, then it becomes available to anybody on the planet that has the internet. I can also choose to allow my website to appear or not in search results, such as a Google search. And before you publish, you have to enter a name or an address where your website can be reached. And if I just typed in demonstration, you notice that it comes at the end of the mandatory sites.google.com, and then your domain, and then this is the word or phrase that you wish. It comes after the backslash at the very end. All right, so I'm going to cancel that again, but there are 2 different areas of permissions that you need to be aware of, and it is the permissions that you grant people to be editors, and then the permissions of people that you allow to actually visit your website. So there you have it, the ins and outs of the new Google Sites, but it would be helpful for us to know about the old or the classic Google Sites and where we find out some information there, just in case there are test questions about it on the exam. So let's again head over here to sites.google.com, and when I want to create a new site, I just hit create. Now remember, you can't create a classic site through the drive. You have to go to sites.google.com. So when I hit create site, I can then get the choice of in new sites or in classic sites. And for this purpose, we want to go for classic sites. And this screen pops up right here where it asks for a template, and you can browse the gallery for templates. We're not going to do that now, but it's good to know that you can browse a gallery. And then it'll ask you to name your site. After you've named your site, you can see that it has provided you with a URL, and similarly to the new sites, puts the title at the end of the URL. In this window here, you can also select a theme by clicking the drop down, and you have all sorts of themes to choose from. Let's just pick one for fun so that I can show you. And once that is selected, I also have some more options. And I'm going to scroll down here. I can give it a site category. I can also put in a site description. When I've done all that, I can then go up to where it says create. Now you can see that it has taken me into the preview screen of my new demonstration site. And you can see that this background color is the way it is because of the theme that I chose. Now, word of caution here, the classic sites is not the most user-friendly. It's not the easiest to navigate or to sort out, but it is important to know where certain things are, especially for the test. So when you go on up here to this pencil, this is the universal Google symbol for edit. So if you want to edit your page or make changes to it, then you need to click on this pencil right there, and let's do that. Now you can see that a whole host of options have shown up for me, and I am in a text editing mode or window right there. I can also go up here to insert, and you have all sorts of options similar to the new Google Sites where I can insert images and links and the whatnot. One thing that separates the classic sites from the new is that you have gadgets in the classic sites. And these are little pieces of code that allow you to insert creative things into your site, such as list items or recently updated files. You can also get to more gadgets by clicking that button right there. You can also insert things right from Google, like calendar and charts and things from your Drive. Again, very similar to the new Google Sites. However, there are a few more options in the classic version. Next to that, you have some formatting options for text. You can also insert tables and change the layout of your page. So you can see here I have a 1-column simple layout right now. I can go to 2 columns and I'll show you what that looks like. You see here now I have 2 text columns. I can even go to 3. I can have a 1 column with a header and a footer, and that looks just like that. I can have 3 columns, header and footer, left sidebar, right sidebar, and having both right there with also a header and a footer. So this is important that you can change the layout of the page in the classic sites. And as always, you have the help option right there. It's also important to know that any changes you make here in this screen have to be saved by going up to the blue Save button in the top right-hand corner. Once I've saved, it takes me back to the preview mode. I can't make any edits in this screen, but I can add pages. So this is the same symbol as in the new sites. However, it's a different layout. If I want to create a page, I click on that button right there. And similarly, I get the opportunity to name my page. And this section down here is unique to the classic version, where I can choose a template for my page. I can, as the default suggests, just have it as a regular web page template. Or I have 4 other options. Now this might come up on the exam, where you have the web page template. You also have an announcements template, and this is a different structure where you can post to your audience. The file cabinet is a structure where you can upload documents for your web page's audience. And you can put in a list of elements there, and it can just be like a start page. Each of these have different elements to them, but it would be very helpful for you to know that there are 5 different templates available when you create a new page in the classic Google Sites. When you've made your choice, you just click on it and continue down, and you'll be able to choose the location, and this can be at the top level or under a page. So that's what the new sites calls a sub page, or you can choose a different location there. And again, when you're all said and done, you'll have to hit create. And just like other Google apps, you have this option right there. Here it's called more actions, but we get some more options in there. At the top, we have some page actions and what we can do to certain pages. We also can save page templates or change the page template. That's what we were just talking about. And I can do site-wide actions like subscribe to site changes. If what that would do is if somebody else or another editor made these changes, it would notify me. I can edit the layout, manage it. I can change the sharing permissions. Now that's good to know where that is, just in case it comes up on the test. And then again, you can report an issue down there as well. And then finally, but not least of all, you have this blue share button up there. And if I click on that, it takes me to this screen here where it says this link allows editing. So if I share that link out, it would allow anybody in my domain to find it and edit. That is the default. But if I can change that to make it only myself, so I can turn it off, or I can open it all the way up. So remember, this is for the editing. If you allow access to everybody on the web, those people will be able to edit your page as well. But you can change that down here where you make it so that people can only view. And when it's all said and done, you've made all your choices, you hit save as usual. So there you have it, a brief introduction to the classic Google Sites. There are some key differences that you'll need to be aware of between the new site and the classic version. But don't forget about the classic version, because there may be questions on the exam that are specifically related to classic Google Sites. By heading up here to your apps and selecting Google Keep, you can get to Google Keep, or you can simply type in keep.google.com, and what you end up with is this screen here. And what is Keep? Keep is Google's way, or Google's app that helps you to keep everything that you want to save. So notes, lists, pictures. You're on the go, you want to remember something. Anything that you want to remember or write down or keep for a later date, that is the intent of Google Keep, to help you organize all of those things. So before we move on, let's just take a look at the layout of Google Keep. Here at the top, you have a search bar for you to search all of your notes. You can also refresh. You can change the view from to a grid view or back to the list view. You also have over here Google Apps that you can get to. On the left-hand side, you can filter by notes or reminders, and I'll talk about this in a little bit later on. You can see all of your labels, which I will also talk about in a second. You can archive your notes. You can trash them. You have the settings right here, and I want to click on that right now. You can modify how your lists behave. You can customize your reminder defaults and the morning time, afternoon time, and evening time. You can enable or disable sharing, and you can display rich link previews or not. All of that is in settings, and you'll hit save when you finish there. You can send feedback to Google. Again, you can get some help. You can also download apps right here from Google Keep. And when I click on there, you can clearly see that I have access to Android apps, iPhone, iPad apps, and the Chrome extension right there from within Google Keep. Now let's begin by learning how to take a note. Adding and managing notes in Google Keep is quite easy. You can see here that I'm on a laptop, so you have the laptop mode visible, but it's quite simple no matter where you go or from whichever platform, mobile, iOS, or Android. And the general idea is that by clicking, you can take notes. So I just clicked on take a note, and I can type anything I wish. And after I've finished typing my note to myself, I can give it a title. And when I'm typing my note to myself, I can choose from many options. I can choose to have it remind me. I can add a collaborator to my thought or my note. I can change the color, the background color of my note. I can add images to my note. I can archive the note so it no longer shows up on my screen. Or I have a list of more options right there. I can delete the note. I can add a label to the note by clicking there. And I only have one label available, which is lists, but I can create another one by just typing it in. And when I've typed it, I just click on create, and it'll give me a new label. And click on the one I want, and done. I can also copy my Keep note right to Google Docs. And you can see over here on the right-hand side, it is part of the Remember label that I just created. And I can also pin the note right up to the top of all my notes and keep it there by clicking that pin. So you can see that there's an important note up here, and the rest are down there. In setting reminders, I have the choices of choosing the time. Remember, these were in the defaults, and I can pick some other time, maybe perhaps next week. Pick a date and time. I can also pick a place. I'm not too sure if you caught it, but when creating a note, I have also over here 3 options. And the first one is creating a list. Now, if I click on that, it automatically sets me up to input list items. And every time I hit enter, a new line appears for a new item in my list. I also have the ability to check off items on the list once I have completed them. And all I have to do is click on the box right next to that list item. And you'll notice that they show up underneath as completed items, and a line crosses it out. I can delete them right out of the way by clicking on the X that shows up right next to the word. And when I'm done editing that list, I can just hit done, and it shows up down there in others because it's not pinned. I can always go back and edit a note by clicking on it and then hit done when I'm finished. I also have the option of inputting images right off the bat, or I can put in a note with a drawing. In my opinion, Google Keep is actually more beneficial on mobile devices. So you can imagine it has the same functionality here, but if you have your mobile phone with you, you can take pictures and put them into Keep. You can take a picture of something that you want to remember. You can put a little note there and put it into Keep. You can create a running list right in Keep. All the while it's located in the cloud and accessible very handily through the app in your mobile device. One of the benefits of using Keep on your desktop or laptop is that you can install the Chrome extension right from the Chrome Web Store. Now you can see it shows up just like this, and I have it already installed, therefore it's asking me to rate it. But if it's not installed in Chrome, it'll show up like this blue button that says Add to Chrome. When you add it to Chrome, it adds a whole level of functionality to Keep. And let me demonstrate. Let's pretend I was looking for classroom decorations here at the Oriental Trading Company. Now you see up here in the top right-hand corner of my screen, this yellow square with a light bulb on it that says Save to Keep. Let's say there's something here that I want to keep, I want to save, and I can just highlight it. Perhaps I want this palm tree right there. I'm going to hit Google Keep up here in the top right-hand corner. I'm going to click on that, and you can see that it has inflatable palm tree right there, and that it's saved. Now that will show up in my Google Keep account no matter where I go. You can see that down here underneath others is a link to the Oriental Trading Company and that inflatable palm tree. So that is one of the benefits to using Keep on your desktop or laptop, is that Chrome extension. Having this Chrome extension, I think, in my opinion, just makes using Keep and surfing the web a whole lot easier and a lot more practical. So there you have it, a quick introduction to Google Keep. And that takes us to the end of this session, but please join us for the next video, which will be our final session in this series. We will talk about digital citizenship and online behavior, copyright and fair use. We'll take a look at fake news and scams and privacy, as well as taking a look at a lot of resources out there for curriculums that have been made. Following that, we'll get right into exam review, where we'll go over in point form all the content up to this point in the sessions. Well, thank you very much for watching the video and being part of this process. If you want to check out my website, don't forget, it's brettpetrillo.com. You can also find me on Twitter at brettpetrillo, and don't be afraid to check out the entire playlist and subscribe to my YouTube channel. That's it for now, and I'll see you next time.